Without further ado, it is my pleasure to hand over the floor to the Secretary General.
Thank you very much, President Kim, Excellencies, distinguished guests. I'm starting by apologizing. I would love to be here until the end of the session, and unfortunately, I will have to be rude and unpolite with you, because at 25, I will have to leave, and I think President Kim is even catching a plane, which is a stronger reason than mine. I apologize, but I can guarantee that we would be delighted to participate in the debate, and we very much count on your contributions to what is the beginning of a very important road together. I'm pleased to be with you today to launch the United Nations World Bank study on the prevention of violent conflict. Our shared goal is to end the atrocious suffering that conflicts inflict in so many people. None of us should consider ourselves fully comfortable in our lives when so many other lives are full of needless misery. And when someone in our immediate family is hurting, we help. The same must hold true for the human family. Fortunately, we know that prevention works. It saves lives, reduces poverty, upholds human rights, and it is cost-effective. That conviction is what has brought the United Nations and the World Bank together for this endeavor. And the joint study is a first in the history of our two institutions. It reflects our shared commitment to preventing conflict, an obstacle to the core goals of both the United Nations and the World Bank. And it contains some simple yet powerful messages. First, preventing violent conflict is a universal concern. It's not only for those in a specific region or income bracket. We are all affected, and we must work together to end this scourge. We live in a deeply interconnected world where conflict spills quickly across borders. And we also live in an increasingly violent world. More and more people are dying in combat or terrorist incidents or being displaced from their homes. More countries are experiencing violent conflict today than at any time in nearly 30 years, and those conflicts are more fragmented and complex. If you look at the situation in a map, and you start in Nigeria, and then move to Mali, and then move to Libya, and then move to Somalia, and then move to Yemen, and then Palestine, Israel, Syria, Iraq, and then to Afghanistan, and now to Myanmar, you will see quickly that all these conflicts are more and more interconnected, and they all tend to be more and more connected to the global threat of terrorism. And so prevention is not only a question of avoiding wars in some distant parts of the world, prevention is in our enlightened self-interest, even to guarantee our security wherever we live in the world. This study provides national governments with evidence for what works in managing the risks of violent conflict more effectively. And it also offers ideas for how our two institutions can better support governments in this task. Second message, the study updates our long-held assumptions about where a conflict breaks out and why. Conflict often originates from a sense of exclusion, discrimination, and marginalization. It's not only a product of weak institutions or competition for power, resources, or position. Some of today's deadliest conflicts are happening in middle-income countries with strong institutions. The study, therefore, places great emphasis on people and the imperative to pay greater attention to people's needs, perceptions, and grievances if we are to avert violence and to sustain peace. Third message, the study demonstrates that successful prevention is inclusive prevention. At the national level, policies of inclusion must be put in place. At the international level, preventive action must include many actors, from civil society to technology companies. Prevention is a group effort. Fourth message, and last, prevention is not impossible. This study contains many examples of successful prevention in action. And I have put prevention at the core of my agenda as Secretary General. Preventing violent conflict must permeate everything we do. And the United Nations must bring all of our capacities to bear on the challenge of prevention. Now, the truth is that it's not easy to convince governments of the importance of prevention. Cameras are not there where a conflict is prevented. Cameras are there where there is a conflict. And when cameras are there and the public opinion is seized, parliaments are seized and governments move. Unfortunately, if cameras are not there, it's difficult to convince key actors in the world that money must be spent, efforts must be made, and coalitions must be built in order to avoid conflicts. That is why it is so important, this study, that is why it is so important to raise awareness about the importance of prevention and the need to have prevention in the center of our priorities, even if cameras are not there seeing or filming what we are doing. Economic and security actors must work effectively together in order to keep the promise of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Indeed, the preventive agenda and the 2030 agenda are closely linked and mutually reinforcing. Conflict is not only a matter of poverty, but it is clear that sustainable and inclusive development is an important form of prevention. We must also collaborate more fully with national, regional, and global partners. Our relationship with the World Bank must be at the heart of this broader, deeper series of partnerships. And I'm extremely happy with the extraordinary development that our two institutions have been able to do in our relationship in order to make sure that this partnership can indeed spread and can be an example that many others can copy around the world. The recent reviews of peace operations and peace building highlighted the importance of this partnership, and we have seen it again in the course of preparing the study we launched today. Our institutions have complementary mandates and expertise. We are already collaborating fruitfully in many ways, but we can do more and we will do more. The resources and energy spent on managing crises far outweigh those allocated to preventing them. Let us reverse this logic. Committing to prevention is the right thing to do and the smart thing to do. And this study points the way. Thank you very much.